You have the Inleo monthly active users, December. So let's jump into the Leo stuff leading with this because I'm curious as well. So I see monthly active creators, monthly active consumers, monthly active users. So break down what these what all that means.
So the monthly active users for Inleo have been, skyrocketing. There's been a lot of data, over the months, and we're pretty open about the data and releasing it in many forms. And obviously, it's all on chain too, if anyone wanted to pull it themselves. Um, but the growth of Inleo has been pretty dramatic, especially in like the Q like latter half of this year, and especially like Q4 of this year. We announced a bunch of partnerships. Obviously, the Dash partnership went live. That had a huge impact. I mean, literally, like the user base and the amount of threads being posted is like more than a 3x. I think it's pretty much about a 4x in terms of growth, literally since the Dash partnership, and that's like in the last 8 weeks. So, the growth has been very dramatic, and it's pretty obvious even when you're just subjectively on the UI. You see a lot more new faces. You see a lot of new content and new types of threads and people using different hashtags. So subjectively, you can tell that there's been a lot of growth. When you look at the actual numbers, I mean, like the thread counts are insane, and then the monthly active users are crazy. So the breakdown here, and this is the first time we've broken down MAUs in this way, which I think is a much better way to look at it, is that you have the total number, which is monthly active users. This data was accurate up until December 29th. So it's going to be slightly higher than this because we obviously are missing 2 days since this was pulled the other day. So once the full data is pulled, we'll update the final December numbers, which will pretty much be in the next like 12 hours when the December 31st closes out. Um, so so right now there are, or as of the 29th, there were 13,000 monthly active users. And 4,700 of those were monthly active creators. So a creator is anyone who makes, one blog post, one thread, or one comment. So it means that they created some form of content on Inleo at some during the month at some point. So if they logged in one time, made one thread, and replied to a thread, that they'd be a creator. A monthly active consumer is someone who views Inleo and curates content. So I guess you could call them a curator if you want, but I think that kind of there's a lot of baggage that comes with that name in terms of curator. So we're calling them consumers. If you think about how social media works, 90% of users are actually just consumers. They're people that go out and view content. Whereas, the minority are creators, the ones that are creating the content that everyone else consumes. So, it's pretty normal, I think, that we have a lot more consumers than creators. I actually think what's abnormal is how many creators we have. Like on traditional social media, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I wonder what the ratio of creators to consumers is, because I think it's completely different than ours. Like I think ours is, and this is obvious to all of us who are here and have been on Hive for a while, but we have so many more creators in terms of ratio than other social media platforms, and I think that's just the nature of Hive and tokenized rewards is that everybody wants to be a creator. So we just tend to have a lot more. Um, our goal, if you remember, we've got obviously the DHF proposal, which is now over. It ended on December 30th. Um, our goal was 10,000 monthly active users. Can we bring 10,000 monthly active users to Hive through Inleo? And we achieved that goal. We surpassed it. Like I said, I think we'll hit about 14,000 by the 31st, which is obviously today. So it's we surpassed it by 40%. And I think that that's pretty incredible. Especially with the way the market was in 2024. It wasn't nice to us early in the year. Obviously, it was a lot nicer to us in the latter half of the year. So we were fighting an uphill battle. But achieving the goal, I think, is a major milestone for our ecosystem and for the broader Hive ecosystem. Hive desperately needs more users, and I think Inleo is one of the few ways that it can get them. Joel from the Dash team has talked about this a lot, which is that a lot of the problems in crypto and with onboarding normies, especially, but just users in general, is that the product is not very usable and user friendly. And he's said multiple times that he thinks Inleo has kind of solved that problem because our UI is so user friendly and so, understandable, especially to X users, because it literally looks identical to X. A lot of people can't even tell the difference between Inleo and X at the initial glance, and I think that that's a good thing. I think it means that we've solved that problem of being Web 2 on the front end and Web 3 on the back end, which is what I've always wanted to be. Um, so yeah, I'm very happy with how the growth has been, and I hope to see other people from Hive being happy about it as well. I think and when you look at other data, so there's other data around like onboarding new accounts and how active those accounts are, communities on Hive and how active the communities are. And I was obviously scrolling through a lot of this stuff for our 2024 recap post. And Inleo has it become, especially, I mean, it already kind of was earlier this year, but then especially towards the end of this year, Inleo has become the number one onboarder of Hive accounts. It's become the number one use case of Hive. And in terms of Hive communities, it has more active users in the Leo finance community, which is obviously just a sub community of Inleo, but it's our main community. Um, we have more active users in our community than every other community on Hive combined. And it's not a competition. It's just to say that, Inleo is starting to do so much activity on the blockchain. It's really filling up all the Hive blocks with all sorts of data. And we've got a mod manga in the audience. I don't see Might possibly. It might be kind of nighttime where he's at, but Might possibly is another person that's using AI, to drive data to the Hive blockchain through Inleo. He was on the CTT podcast yesterday talking about his AI projects, and the interesting ways he's leveraging Inleo to be successful with AI. So he's doing AI summaries of YouTube videos. He usually does an AI summary of all these podcasts that we do. And then he's monetizing it through one thing I thought was interesting during the podcast yesterday. He was talking about how, for the first time ever now, he can monetize himself on Hive in a way that he could never do before, which is to launch a creator subscription and have people subscribe to him in order to get access to his AI bots. So, I know that Ahmad Manga is doing similar things as well. It's fascinating to see people use the tools that we've created in order to monetize themselves and drive revenue and be able to build new tools that were never possible before.